Lord of the Flies is a novel written by William Golding in 1954. It's a story about cute and proper British boys that become savages after their plane crashed and they are stranded on an uncharted island. They find a conch, that is a really big shell, and they use it to call each other to gather around. This conch becomes very important. Hence the power struggle between Jack and Ralph start. Ralph is the elected leader and Jack doesn't like it. Most of the older boys leave with Jack. Ralph really tries to keep things under control, but there are no adults, no laws, and no structure in their situation. There are rumors of a beast in the woods spread among the younger boys. So a pig's head is placed on a stake by Jack to appease this monster. Another object of value is Piggy's glasses. It is of great value because it is the only way to make a fire. The fire is used to cook food as well as send a signal for help. Their attempt to govern themselves ends with disastrous results. Two of the boys, Simon and Peggy, get killed, and soon Jack and his group turn to Ralph to have him suffer the same fate. However, as Ralph runs to the beach to escape, the British Navy arrives. Ralph tries to talk about what happens, yet he sobs. When the other boys reach the beach, they too sob. Why? There was much sobbing because innocents died. We already know about Ralph, who was the elected leader, and he knew things that the other boys didn't know, like the need to keep a fire for a possible rescue and the necessity to work together and build huts. His nemesis, Jack Meridew, he was very jealous of the fact that he was not elected and he just rebelled and created his own group. We already slightly mentioned Piggy. He had these glasses that everybody needed, and physically he was not the exact perfect leader. He was on the chubby side, he had asthma, he had poor eyesight, but he had a lot of logic. So together with Ralph, they made a really good team. While Ralph looked like the leader and had the charisma, Piggy thought like one. Simon was the strangest of the boys. He was extremely shy and unable to communicate the truth about the island, the beast, and human nature. He was very kind. He used to pick the fruit for the little ones and gave Piggy meat, which Jack refused. He enjoyed wandering off by himself. In chapter 7, he goes to find out the truth about the beast. He sees the pig's head on a stick that Jack had left for the beast and hallucinates. He was probably dehydrated, and the pig's head started talking to him. When Simon wakes up, he discovers the beast is actually a dead parachutist, and when he goes to inform the others, everything goes crazy and awry, and the group of boys end up chasing after him, killing him like a pig. Other characters are Roger. He's the antithesis of Simon. Roger is just pure evil and he's the main bully. Then we have Samaric, which is actually a combination of Sam and Eric. They are actually two boys, they're twins. Other than Peggy and the Littlins, they're the only boys that stand together with Ralph. The Littlins are the unnamed boys, a generic name given to the stranded children, mainly 6 years old and under. So these are the baby boys. The symbolism in The Lord of the Flies is found in the conch, which represents civilization and order. It also represents freedom of speech. It's some kind of structure. It was also a symbol of Ralph's democratic power. And Piggy really needed the conch so he can request his glasses back. He really couldn't see without them. Dagger was the force and violence, almost similar to the spear, which was used for hunting, threats, and also for abuse. Piggy specs, which were important for him for seeing, were also symbolic of reason and logic. And it was very important to start the fire. And the fire was very important because it represented rescue, it represented food, light, and security. They needed security against the beast, which represented fear and evil. And after realizing that it was just a dead parachutist, Simon actually realized that the fear and evil was coming from themselves. The painted faces and long hair was a complete contrast of the proper British boys, and it was symbolizing that they were descending into savagery. Now that you have read William Golding's Lord of the Flies, you have read a work inspired in part by the Bible. The title Lord of the Flies refers to the pig's head that was placed on a spear and worshipped by the young boys on the island. In other words, the boys have chosen to believe in a fake deity, much like the people of Israel who built golden calves to worship. Beelzebub was an Egyptian god that was linked with the fourth plague as one of the 10 plagues God sent over Egypt through Moses. And the pigs on the island were for food and seen as a sign of hope, in contrast to the decaying head of the pig on the stake. Society, as it was known to the boys, was in decay, and they were losing hope even though they did not know it until the end of the novel. Understanding the following biblical allusions to the beast leads to comprehension of the narrative. The beast is spoken of in Revelation chapter 13 of the New Testament. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Revelation 13:1. This allusion is found in the title of chapter 5, Beast from the Water. I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Revelation 13:3. This allusion is found in chapter 6, and it is in reference to the dead parachutists who the boys bring back to life in their minds through their fear. They worship the beast, saying, "Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Revelation 13:4. Jack and his tribe come to the realization they cannot defeat the beast, so they give it a gift, or an offering of sacrifice. The Garden of Eden biblical allusion. The novel setting indirectly alludes to the Garden of Eden. The boys' island is like a paradise. The boys sense a haunting presence on the island. They refer to this presence as the beast. Adam and Eve encountered in the garden the serpent. Allusion to a Christ-like character. Here we have Simon, who also serves as the Christ figure. Simon has an epiphany and understands that the evil forces are really those within the boys. They are the beast. This is when we get the quote, "Maybe there is a beast. Maybe it's only us." Simon prophesies his own death in chapter 7, as Jesus does throughout the New Testament. Simon feeds his followers fruit in chapter 3, much like Jesus feeds the multitudes in the New Testament. He withdraws to his secret place in the forest as Jesus withdraws to the wilderness to pray. And Simon understands the truth about fear, evil, and human nature, but is slain as he attempts to share this discovered truth. Some sparkling quotes. We've got to have rules and obey them. After all, we're not savages, we're English. And the English are best at everything. Chapter 2. Maybe there is a beast. Maybe it's only us. Chapter 5. The world, that understandable and lawful world, was slipping away. Chapter 5. Which is better, to have laws and agree, or to hunt and kill? Chapter 11. The rock struck Piggy, a glancing blow from the chin to the knee. The conch exploded into 1,000 white fragments and ceased to exist. Chapter 11. What was the sensible thing to do? There was no Piggy to talk sense. Chapter 12. This would be an excellent lesson for high school AP English students. It is a novel deep in symbolism as well as an observation to the core and essence of humanity when everyday comforts are removed. There are much literary terms to learn as well as allusions to the Bible and society. Civics is a good topic too. In addition to literature, it would blend in with a social studies segment on civilization and its structures. Which brings up questions. Are standards of society needed for one to grow up? Without these standards, will humanity fall into a frantic and wild state as the boys did in The Lord of the Flies? Are laws, like the Ten Commandments, necessary to keep humanity civilized? Or are laws placed for identifying good and evil? What would a world without rules look like?